And now it's payback. You reverse roles. Okay, stop. Thank you. Okay, now I would like to ask how many people were able to get their arm back? Oh, that's over half. So I want to ask people that were successful in getting your arm back, what was your technique? What did you do to get your arm back? Anybody? You use your other hand to grab their arm. Okay, so you use the other hand to pull their arm off. Anybody else, what did you do to get your arm back? Twisting? Okay, all right. Little force to twist them on. Okay, we can do it. Tickling. Okay, all right. Find their weak spots, find those nerves. Okay, anybody else? Huh?
I patiently waited for them to give it back. Oh, that's good.
Did they give it back? That's passive. What did you do? You asked. Did it work? Oh! How many people did ask for their arm back? Oh, I said did. Okay, this is 3 people asked. Okay, so in nonviolent communication, you want to do what? You want to ask, talk, you know. If you don't say anything, people don't know what you're trying to communicate. If you use force, people think, oh, that's how we got to deal. This is how we work. We use force. I twist, or I pull their arm away, or I find their nerves, their weaknesses, and I tickle them. But a lot of times people are like, why do people use so much violence? But even in this room, I mean, it's just a game. So don't walk away thinking like, man, almost just showed you that I'm a violent person. But even in this room, like our impulse is like, only 3 people thought to ask. Well, I don't know what other people thought, but only 3 people actually asked. That's it. They sort of raise their hand. So that's part of what we do in nonviolent communication. And I was able to, through the health department, work with a lot of community groups around the city of Milwaukee, and then eventually one of our programs called Safe Night was a very simple program of getting people together on an evening like this, doing whatever they want to do to get together, but then talking about how do you solve problems with people. And firstly, most of the time when people have a conflict, it comes down to people have to be willing to talk. Now, they might have to talk for hours to work out some problem. Sometimes it might be something they can talk about for a few seconds and it's done. Because there's a lot of violence that escalates just because people didn't take a few seconds to take a breath, calm down, be mindful, be present, and that would have taken care of. A lot of times they just need to be mindful for themselves, and then it would never escalate. Sometimes they have to communicate with the other person. But a lot of times it came to being able to talk to each other, communicate however long they needed, whether it was 30 seconds or whether it was a month, just keep going when they needed to. I got to work with the Peace Learning Center of Milwaukee, and they do youth groups. We have kids that come in, I think about 5,000 youth a year, maybe 30 or 50 schools, and they do a peace camp in the daytime. Where we go through nonviolent skills, mediation skills, and the kind of exercises we just did, like interactive, lateral thinking kind of drills, because there's a part of your brain that can figure out how to figure things out if you exercise it. But one of the things that's been the most significant to me that I really get passionate about teaching is dealing with domestic violence, or men's role in violence. And that men have been, and I learned a lot of this from Terry Stroll. Can Terry? She can stand up, would you stand up, I guess. So she's the founder. She says she's the founder of the Honor Center, but a lot of people like me think that she's the founder of reducing men's violence in the country, because at a time a lot of people, my partner I worked at in domestic violence, the health department worked on supporting women, but a lot of people thought, well, the guys just need to be locked up. But a lot of women are married to these guys, I forgot the other risk factor. The most common risk factor for violence is alcohol, drugs, and being armed, is that the person is somebody you know. 80% of the time, people are killed, shot, or assaulted by somebody that's their friend or family. So the ideal that stranger danger is the most common kind of violence. I think Paul Ryan even said that, most of the violence is because of, I think it was a month ago, he said it was because of people with mental health issues when they were talking about gun issues. I don't know. They were talking about gun policy, and then other people said it was gang violence, but it's really just people that just get into an argument and it gets out of control, and they know each other. That's how they're able to get that close. And so a lot of people go back to their mate or to their partner, and they think that the partner is going to change. But why guys do that? And there's a lot of trauma that people experience growing up, and I learned that from her and the material that, I mean, she has a PhD, so she knows a lot of stuff. And a PhD in philosophy, which I was like, well, you could be doing anything, but why this? You know, you could be doing something really cool, you know. And that is really cool, but it's really deep work, and you know, dealing with just what's the word, the P that guys do? Yeah, patriarchy, yes, patriarchy, yeah, that's something that we love patriarchy. So learning about that stuff, and learning how we just take part in that, well, even knowing that we take part of that, and then how we oppress people, even knowing that we oppress people, and then the people that know that we're oppressing people, and just being able to help guys. Because, you know, when guys come to group and you lay this stuff off on them, they're like, well, I didn't know I was like that. I mean, I knew I was like that, but I didn't know why I was like that. And now I'm starting to understand why I'm like that, so maybe I can do something different. I can be different. You know, because, you know, you go back to when we were a little kid, when we were a child, you know, we weren't thinking when we were growing up, yep, I want to beat some people up when I grow up. That's, you know, we want to play with people, we want to have fun. So, so that's what I'm into. Although I'm going into exercise, I'm going into exercise physiology, but I feel like it's all connected, you know, because, you know, helping people have a better life is all connected. So I'm going to leave. I have one more thing. I like to play in the street, take my saxophone in the street, and I used to think that when I was in high school, it's like I was going to play jazz in New York, and now I just play on street corners. Well, not just play on street corners. I take that back. I play in festivals and stuff like that too. But so, thank you.
Someone tonight because this is Melinda and she intended to be here to talk with us, and her daughter ended up making the state championships in gymnastics. Oh! That's where she is tonight. But she sent us a note this morning. Melinda is a pediatric oncologist and researcher. She lives in Boston and she works with the cases with the kids who maybe there are 5 kids a year that get some particular type of cancer, and Melinda's the one to go to. And since she couldn't be here tonight, I've asked another medical genius to come and read her note for us. Linda is a geriatric nurse practitioner, which just like Melinda's is a calling. So please welcome Linda to speak for Melinda.
obviously linked to environmental factors like lung cancer and smoking, there are many situations where it comes down to random mutations, or what some people are calling just plain bad luck. Through much of my career, I have met with families in the bleakest of times when they are thrust quickly into an up-close encounter with that bad luck and the tough road required to fight for a child's life. In a fair world, these warriors deserve good luck, not the random intrusion of cancer rearing its ugly head. A driving force in my life has been my desire to give the best care possible and work hard to find more effective, less toxic therapies. In response to the stranger who asks what I do, I often find it hard to introduce myself as a pediatric oncologist. That stranger might readily imagine the many tears and fears. But I hope that through Deb's introduction, you can also envision the joys I am privileged to share with these very special patients and families. Years past the infusions and pokes and scans after dealing with that bad luck, I have also been blessed to see the deep growth, insight, and determination from young adult survivors. So while cancer was not chosen by them, nor the result of something that they did, the success of daily striving and living life to its fullest makes them famous in my work. Just like the artist and artwork we are celebrating today, we can say it was more than luck that made tonight possible. Don't you agree? We have a village of people here who at first glance may seem randomly brought together. But we are not just individual cells growing without purpose. We are pulled together in harmony as a beautiful tapestry, woven by Deb's thread. This famous success began with an artful idea that was realized through insight, creativity, and disciplined hard work. Melinda says, enjoy the celebration, and may a new perspective on what it means to be famous encourage us all to make a positive impact on the world around us. Thanks. So it all started 3 years ago. Timothy Westbrook, to me, is the walking embodiment of my two favorite words, what if. I watched Timothy put on a fashion show with figure skaters performing on artificial ice in the Imperial Ballroom of the Pfister Hotel. He has talked to the people in the Milwaukee Public Museum to allow models to climb into the dioramas, onto the dinosaurs. He has talked to people at the Charles Alice Museum to allow him to mix his pieces with their artifacts and use their vintage furniture as props. Timothy believes in asking. He believes in asking big, ridiculous questions. Here's the most important thing I've learned from Timothy. Sometimes they say yes. I said, I can't contact Naomi Shihabnai. She doesn't know me. He said,
said, she's gonna love this. I said, this is gonna be expensive. He said, you can find sponsors. I said, I'm just an artist who no one has ever heard of. He said, someday someone's gonna see one of your paintings and it's gonna change their life. Timothy is on an unending quest to understand all the people around him and is unnervingly intuitive. He is a person for whom the phrase justice for all in our Pledge of Allegiance is a lifelong quest. He never assumes, he always believes. And he always trusts in a person's better nature. When we were talking about his plans to do a bike trip from Milwaukee to Chicago, I said, what about where you have to go through the area with the angry Latvian thugs? He said, the misunderstood angry Latvian thugs. The portrait I painted of Timothy is on cloth that he wove on a hand loom. And if you look, there is a row of Victorian push-button light switches on the wall behind him. Because while Timothy works almost entirely without electricity for his sustainable-based art, what he really does is turn on lights for all of us. Please welcome Timothy Westbrook.
Before I got up on stage, Deb said, people are talking for a half hour. So I just need everybody to look at Deb and applaud her. And say, thank you very much for that half hour. We don't mind. We're with you, so we're happy that we're here. Holy cow. I mean, I don't even have to do this, because she really just did it, right? So Olu, thank you so much for warming everyone up. That was great. I'm warm you all up again. I want you to say words and kind of get used to saying words again. So I need everyone in the audience, I need everybody to say, Deb's awesome. Deb's awesome! Great, wonderful, cool. So as we go on, I'll need more words, so thank you for having them now. I hope you have them again later. So one of my favorite stories, I feel like I'm just really just going to repeat and rephrase everything you just said, is about starfish. A man is walking on a beach, and it was just after the storm, which is sometimes when the lake is just the most beautiful. So of course he went to go look at the lake, and he's walking along the bank, and all of a sudden there's this figure just darting across, and it's not me. And as he gets closer, he realizes it's a young man running all over the beach quite frantically, and he gets closer and closer, and he realizes that this child is actually throwing starfish back into the ocean. The older gentleman gets up to him and he says, son, you're not going to be able to save all of that. And he, just looking at the man, not even looking at the starfish, just picks it up and throws it in, and he's like, that one made a difference. And I've loved that. I've always loved that. And Deb, with lamplighter and light and seeing, I've been thinking about this story so much, and I realized that man walked all the way across the beach and never even noticed the starfish at his feet. He had to walk that entire distance to see some scrambling monkey throwing things into the ocean, and that child was able to see the starfish, and that's just so important to me. And I'm just going to cry just because that's so amazing. And we've done this also, just thinking of all of these things. So, here's the person who's like, you're all going too fast. Let's just sit down in the middle of New York City. So that was sort of like, hey, Timothy Westbrook's in New York City, welcome. Here we are. So I'm going to show you how I see certain things, or how I've seen the starfish. Oh, and I was going to check in. Mother, can you hear me okay in the back? There were a few speakers I was worried about, whether or not you could hear them. Can you hear? Yeah? Okay. If it ever goes out of you not being able to hear, just punch Bethy and she'll wave, and then I'll talk about her. Just let me know what I need to do. So this is my favorite scene in Beauty and the Beast, because she walks into the bookstore and she's like, I have sustainable practices. My favorite book is the one that I read over and over and over again and return to you just in case somebody else wants to read it. We're very into community borrowing, community sharing. It's wonderful. It's really fantastic. And the bookseller's like, you know what? If you like it that much, it's yours. You're the nerd.